Oh,
I print the packet from the attachment, so,
Probably got it in here upside down.
and maybe I turned it
Yeah,
over
there's
the
8
wrong way.
pages.
Wait a minute, I can see it now.
Okay.
here we go.
We changed that.
Yeah, what did you, what rotate?
And Rich Newt was nice enough to come down tonight, and if you had any questions on it, he actually has done the survey work for us on that section.
Why is Rich is here? Rich, the problem was what? When you started on that based on the state and went in a few years ago, tell them the problem.
Well, the problems with this project had a lobbies. There were several problems with this.
Come up here, Rich, if you would care.
The subdivision itself had some issues, the old 79 subdivision. The annexation map that was done in 93 had some mathematical closure problems. Somehow, and I'm not sure how it happened, but the intent of the original annexation in 93 was pretty clear, that it went around those lots. Even though it mathematically didn't work, you could infer that this is what it was supposed to do. I don't know how, from when it got from Moorhead, from you guys, to Secretary of State, if you look on their website, they basically said, well, we think it should have been moved to take in these houses. So I don't know what they originally got, but some GIS person up there just took it and moved it around on their GIS map. So what I did, considering the mathematical problems we had with the lots in the subdivision, with the annexation problems, I used the intent. I basically reestablished those four lots, or however many there were, in Holiday Estates to reestablish the right-of-way, because you had to figure out where the right-of-way was along one side of the road, because it wasn't a right-of-way where, well, it's just 25 foot off the center of the road. It was a right-of-way wherein they ran parallel along a defined center line. It was a 50-foot surveyed easement. It wasn't a county road, you know. It is what it is. So I had to go to the top of the hill because none of the monuments along the front worked. So I had to survey all the way around to the top of the hill, those four lots, rebuild those lots, work that all the way down to the front, offset that, and see where it hit. And that's what I did. I don't know if you guys, I don't know what else you need to know.
That's pretty much it. I just wanted to give an explanation because
I can
it
get-
varied significantly in parts, didn't it?
What to bury.
From the state, what the state had, what they had on when.
Oh, it was way messed
That's
up.
what I'm saying, when you went to Carmen's and first pulled it, and we went back and forth on this, well, Joyce was involved, and it was from
Yeah,
the
it
original
was-
intent from the ones who were part of the annexation.
Correct.
Yeah, and I don't, like I said, the intent, even though it wasn't well done initially, it was pretty obvious what they tried to do. But like I said, if you just get on the Secretary of State's website, and you can get on there and go to search for cities, and you can pull down to that 0793 annexation, and it pops up and tells you how they placed it. And when I talked to Candy, she said, she read it, she said, well, that's not real good. So basically, Candy Atkinson, she's the land office of Secretary of State.
Okay.
So there were problems with this one. There's apparently some other ones that were done the same way around here. I don't know exactly how that's
That may
gonna
creep
come
up at some point.
Possibly, yeah. And one problem that I saw, and I don't really know how to address, and it wasn't part of my project, but the part that this ties into, I could never find a definition of that. Now, that may be the original city limits. I don't know when that was done. I saw some 1976 numbers floating around on that website, but I never could find anything at the courthouse that defined that. So that may be something that comes back and gets you. But for this project, all I had to do was figure out where that was. I tied all this into state land coordinates, so my map dumps right into their GIS system and seamlessly. She doesn't have to try to put mine on there. I send her a shape file, which is a GIS file converted from my GPS files, and she just drops
Overlays
it.
it right there.
It just plops in.
Yeah. Okay.
If you look at my map, do you have, Joe, do you have a big map?
I don't have the big one.
But you'll see where I have the, existing city limit line that sort of runs at an angle, and then ours does this. That line that runs this way came straight from her website. I imported that, put that on my map, mine will drop right in on top of hers.
Gotcha.
And we're within 100, so.
Okay. Any questions for Rich?
Thanks, Ray.
We appreciate it, Rich, we know it's been a battle.
Do you need to talk about the building?
No.
No, this covers that.
Okay.
Thanks, Rich.
Very good.
Thanks, Rich.
Alrighty,
Wait, motion on it?
yeah, vote
Yeah.
please, let's call roll.
Atkins,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Franzini,
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Seeger,
Yes.
All right, next is 13, discussion items. First one is former crosswalk, and when I say formerly painted crosswalk that is still on the books as a crosswalk on the Fuzzy Duck on Main Street needing to be repainted. Right? Is that right?
yeah, but are you just gonna wait?
We wanna wait on that until we get Tony? Is that what you're asking us to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, we'll move on with that then and then go to B. The Moorhead Conference Center opening an access point from First Street to their side parking lot, which exists east of the IVY building, between IVY and what is now our 911 building. Go, if you want to come up and talk to us about that, Jamie.
I've got pictures, I don't know if everybody received that email too, but we had an event in February, and that was the parking in front.
Bill probably didn't get that, this is the first he's seen it.
Comes down to the chamber office.
Thanks, sir.
And then on the back of that is our parking lot. So the First Street's packed full with our tenants, the back of it is our parking lot with nobody in it. I just thought that
I see.
might access gets to be.
Just real quick, Bill and I talked about this earlier today. The street that runs behind the conference center, all the way out behind,
Virginia Avenue.
yes, that is a two-way street. The
Yes.
street that runs up between the conference center, it needs to be one, okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. That runs up between IVY and the conference center is a one-way street out.
Right.
So the parking lot he's talking about is, and from what we've talked about, he's noticed this over several months. It is rarely used, and one of the reasons I think people don't know, number one, it's a conference area, it is marked, but they don't know how to access it.
Maybe a sign.
How many spaces you got
We
there?
have a sign, 40, 33? 33.
And you know, one of the complaints I hear, if people come to town and they go to a meeting and they get a ticket because they parked on the street because the back lot was full, I said, did you park on the side? I didn't know that was the side.
Right,
You hear that all the time.
right.
It'll help the businesses on First Street that we're taking up their spaces,
For-
even though we have warned them, they're gonna get a ticket if they park there.
Hell,
They
no,
don't
no,
care.
you're doing everything right, it's
And
just,
they park next to it and see the lot, and it says Moorhead Conference.
but they don't know how to access it because it's not an easy access point. Now, Joe mentioned when this first happened, way back when they built this, there was a concern about the entrance.
When it was first designed and put in, it wasn't as much the concern about the entrance as there's utilities under that sidewalk. The depth of the utilities are not deep enough to do a curb cut. And if you do the curb cuts, you would have to cut back into the parking lot a good bit, which would eliminated somewhere between 6 to 7 spaces at the time that it was built. It's not that it can't be done, but you will lose 6 to 7 spaces out of that lot in trade for a front access, because you have to go back into the lot to avoid
Is-
a lot of utility work,
Wa-
or the expense of that utility work.
Was that the main concern, the loss of spaces or the cost of the project?
The loss of the spaces at that time, because we were doing the back lot, which was, we were a little less than 100 spaces. They wanted to get 100 spaces out of the back lot, and we got 90-some spaces at the time. And on that side, I believe there's 30-some,
40,
33.
33, so that'd take you to 26, 27?
Yeah, and we would have lost spaces at that side. And it was about number of spaces at the time.
All right, knowing that,
Well, I mean, the only time it's full is if we have an exhibitor or a trade show. And the exhibitors will use it, like this past week in the antique market they used.
because it's really designed, it's really kind of a default for them because it's closer.
Right.
They go in the loading dock that side.
I mean, do you think if we had better signage, that would help, people? Think people don't read?
No, we got signs in the front of the building when you walk in, that says, this meeting this way, and people don't read that.
Joe, what
And they're
utilities
all
are you
listed.
talking about?
There was, it's water and gas, I believe, Bill. Okay. On that
You're
side.
talking about sewer, just water and gas?
It's water and gas. And the water was, I don't think the gas was the big issue as much as there was something to do with the water at the time. It's been so long ago now.
I remember when this happened, I think the reason that we bought it to start with was because we didn't have the parking lot in the back. We,
Right,
it's
right.
kind of a,
It was the first one we
it
bought.
was the first one we bought to
I wanna
get
say
some parking for the conference center. And I know I was concerned about the entrance and getting into it to
Yeah.
start with, but at that time, we didn't have any parking except on the
Right,
street. But I would certainly look at, see exactly what you're dealing with. You can say utilities, but that could mean a big difference in a 36-inch sewer line and a 2-inch gas line.
Right.
Or, you know, so I would look at that before I would think that we
What is it,
definitely
Chief?
need to get it fixed.
There's,
Chief's got a point. Go ahead, Chief.
I think it's a water main.
it's like an 8-inch
Your
water
hydrants,
main.
your hydrants are right there on that side. I'm just
There is
thinking
a-
Yeah.
6-inch or 8-inch water main, that's all I know.
What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Major expense? What, first of all, Joe, explain to us, what would you need? How wide would the entrance need to be? What would you do? It'd be a two-way entrance and exit, right? Or not?
Yeah, we probably have to have a two-way entrance and exit the way the parking lot's set up and designed. We could possibly change the design of the parking lot. I mean, that's always an option, which would reduce more spaces because you'd have a center aisle through it. But, with the current design, you'd have to have an entrance, and exit there. Go in one way and back out.
Are we
on the
talking
same
25
side.
foot?
24.
24 foot,
minimum with
okay.
Radius on it.
The grade's no problem where it's at, just by
Well,
taking
we
it
would
back?
have to utilize the sidewalk, and we'd have to cut some of the sidewalk back out in that area to blend back into it for ADA accessibility and everything across there. It's,
Have anybody looked, I know we probably haven't, but I'm gonna ask the question. Has anybody looked any kind of preliminary estimate on cost? Okay. We gotta figure out utilities first and then go from there. Is that something we can,
I would suggest that'd be the first thing you do, and then try to get some estimate, but you gotta know what you're dealing with before you start digging. And, Jeff, you think it's only a 6-inch water main?
That might
Eight.
be 8 probably.
8 maybe? Do you know, Glenn, for sure?
No, I don't know for
Okay.
sure, but I would imagine that'd be an 8 there.
At the hydrant. What are you asking us to do right now? Are you asking us to go ahead, or asking council, Jamie, to go ahead and just open it up, or we just wanna go down, start on that road, no pun intended, to try to get the process
Yeah, I'd
started?
say start on that road. It was just an idea. I mean, like, when I saw you and talked to you about it, it's just,
Well, and that was done on
Something
the
to be
water
fixed.
line too, I mean, it's not like we don't have roads over water lines all the time, it's just a matter of how deep it is, and so I would check the plant board to find out if they've got a GIS, you know exactly, you know, if it's 36-inch cover, you should be all right.
Why don't we have Joe look into
once we
that?
cut down,
I've
we're
already
removing
been there.
covering, because that sidewalk is elevated higher if you look at
Oh, is
it
it?
out through there.
How high is that, Tim, you think? That sidewalk? 6, 8 inches?
On the back?
It's a little more high than that. Yeah.
6 in the front, 8 in the back, maybe?
It's 8 or 10 in the back.
Yeah.
Well, I would just start the preliminary work.
Let's just go ahead and have Joe look at it, and try to get, maybe come back and talk to us in April about it. Jamie, you can come back then, you work with Joe, and Joe work with Holly, and we'll go from there. Bill had some expertise in that, Bill will work with you. All right. Thank you, Jamie. We got a couple of, items, under other city business, old or new. We just number one is a resolution to acquire, a Humvee for the police department. David, if you wanna give us just a quick background on that and, the cost.
This is free.
Glenn?
I'm, make a motion.
Gas is fine.
That's free there, come on.
We are on the list to get military surplus stuff, and actually, me and Derek Blevins just went up to Dayton last week to Wright Patterson, brought back a 15 kW generator,
Which is the second one we've gotten last week.
which is the second one we've got. We had to gotta put some new batteries in it,
Expensive,
but
buddy.
other than that, it's a huge generator. It's gonna be for the police department use, whatever we can use to work. We're actually looking at to either be a backup to the backup generator at the office or for the tower side. So we haven't decided. But anyway, Humvee, we borrowed the sheriff's department's Humvee during the second storm we had. But there's that and our Tahoe's on where we need to get around during. But to get access to Humvees, MRAPs, and a lot of the other control stuff that President Obama put on his, controlled items list, we have to do a resolution to, and assign a thing that says civilian government authority to get access to get these. And then there's also a memo I have to fill out and another form I have to fill out. There's like 3 pieces of paper that's to go with it. So, we'd like to get a couple Humvees at one point and maybe even an MRAP.
Okay.
How y'all feel about that?
Explain to them what that is.
An MRAP is, I'm not sure what the acronym stands for, it's mine resistant anti-something. It's one of the big up armored things, and basically for SRT, if people are shooting at you, it's a place for safe refuge.
How big is it?
It's 4-wheeled vehicle, so it's, I don't know, I think it'll hold 6 people,
It took
5,
the-
6 people, they might no more.
It took the place of the 5-ton
So it's a
truck.
bigger
If you,
size vehicle.
those military vehicles that you saw with troop carriers in it, the 5-ton vehicle, it took the place of that.
So do you want?
Some are 4-wheel, some are 6-wheel.
Add that to the resolution?
Yes, so
So we're gonna be in, whatever.
they're very rarely can you even get access to them. They hardly ever come up there
You're trying to get 2 Humvees and an MRAP.
if one comes available.
If one's, okay.
Dave, have you checked to see what insurance rates are for those Humvees, is that make you talking about?
But the what?
Insurance rates is for the Humvee.
I would have no idea.
We'll have Chrissy check on that. That'll be, that's a
I
good
think
question,
that would be-
Bill.
Good question.
I don't
Good
know whether-
question. Basically, the MRAP, when it's an anti, it may be, yeah.
Well, I just read in the news yesterday, a police station in Maryland was open fire ambush for 2 people outside. Something like that would come in handy,
Prince George County.
so. Actually, an officer was killed this year doing that, so.
I just think we need to know what we,
I agree with you.
I understand.
Let's let Chrissy look into that for us. So what action we take right now, Andy?
We got a resolution, we got a
If
motion.
you want to go ahead and get a
We got
motion? No, we haven't made a vote.
You did.
I made a motion.
Can we get a second?
Second.
All right, there we go.
Carol already did.
Okay. Please call roll.
Atkins,
yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Franzini,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Yes.
Teeger, and that's for both of them.
Yes.
Okay.
And the last item that we want to talk about under other city business, old and new, you all know about the furlough. It's been discussed for MSU. I had Joan look into this and what it would affect us. Based on her calculations, this is a rough estimate, it would affect us $17,000 on our fourth quarter tax. So, that's what that would cost. Roughly, it's, she took from, did y'all get all that? Okay, she took a year average basically, and it's basically 1 week out of that, a fourth of that, and that's how she came up with that number. A month.
They pay monthly.
They pay
So
monthly, so it'd be
that would
$17,000 is how that would be, the loss for us on our
Over the quarter.
Over the
And
quarter.
that's if everybody's.
If everybody's on it. It may be less, and probably is, but we don't know. Okay? We wanted you to have that for information, because Glenn had asked for that. We'll finish up then, Jan?
Our website, are we updating that when? Is anybody working with the website? I know we got it set up.
Yes, yes, I mean, like, updating for what, exactly?
Well, I'm not sure. Somebody told me that, I have not been, that they were questioning the website because it hasn't been updated. There was stuff on there that was no longer, I don't know.
Oh, okay, well, no, we have an intern, we didn't have due to, the classes that we had a surplus of last year. We have an intern that will be starting as soon as the summer one begins. I've been doing it with Shay, sending her, but, I think what you're talking about is the calendar, there's some old calendar items. Yeah. And we will do that, but we got an intern that'll start in the summer, and we'll go through the fall. Okay. Any other, Glenn?
Nothing major, just informational. The Board of Education will be moving its offices in, probably at the end of April, 21st, 22nd, so.
I know they've been doing some setup stuff and preliminary stuff here, I saw recently. How long will they think that'll take
What?
to finish it all? Just
Move them middle of April.
I mean, you'll be done by then.
They ever got like 10 people are working over there now, or living over there now at the, old middle school. But the rest of us move over by probably April 21st.
Okay. Bruce, Bill,
No.
Anything?
I want to thank you all.
well,
Go back.
we appreciate your willingness to
Welcome
serve.
back.
you have a wealth of knowledge, we appreciate that. Carolyn?
I'm good.
Move to adjourn.
I didn't even call on you, Bruce. Bruce?
Move to adjourn. That was a short adventure, it wasn't so bad.
Hey, now, that's pretty good. Bill, hey, once I got this off, he said, what have you got me into? He thought it was gonna be a 3-hour meeting.
Looked like a 3-hour meeting, didn't it?
Well, I talk fast. Could you please silence your phone? You're killing us. You're killing us. No, I'm just joking. Thank you for coming. Does everybody know Lincoln? Do you know Lincoln, Carolyn?
Lincoln, not Savannah. I haven't seen the trench.
You need to speak with anybody? Who would you like to speak with? See, I do my interview tomorrow, so speak to somebody else. Hey, Jimmy, thank you. Come get some rest, you look tired. She's getting, hey, hey, living with her, you gotta be. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, buddy, for coming.
Yes, sir.
Next time we'll have you sing. You come in late, I will have you sing an actual.
That's all right, yeah, I'll try to get ready.
Thanks, Carolyn.
Sure thing.
Hey, I'm excited about what Scott did.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
that'd be
excited.
great.
And you know what? In the grand scheme of things.
It's nothing, but it has been so much work, as you
Oh, I know it
know,
has been.
just to get
Man hours.
inch by inch by inch.
Oh, I know.
And then the university, you probably know that,
Yes.
the university offered to help us with the surveying and all that. Oh, it's a big help, it makes it all right and official and all that.
But we want to do it right because of the fiasco.
Oh, my gosh.
That's nobody's fault.
No, it's just wise, but we learn from it.
We have here is favorite. Now we're doing better.
We're doing much better, and Scott is a great guy, very, very
I
professional.
love it, that's why I believe in him.
Oh, it's great. Oh, yeah, no, he's very knowledgeable, and we can chit chat. No, no. I mean, one person, is he married? Okay, I mean, I wasn't interested, I'm just being nosy. Okay.
Sure, sure, I know, I'm about as old, I know.
Okay, well, the reason I asked, we were discussing antiques, and he was talking, and I didn't want to ask, I just didn't know, you know, that was. Next thing.
I know. Thank you, Carolyn. Yes, sir.
How's it go? Good. Good. Oh, my gosh. I love those. I used to I brought Jenny, my goat, who lived in Iowa, and I just saw her advertised in the paper. I went and got her, I brought her in the backseat of my car, my husband was just so excited. But I milk her every day, I tried milk for eggs and all this with my neighbors, and my little girl, my oldest daughter, who was just 2 at the time, she'd ride her, you know, I just love
I'm
her.
gonna tell Tom that, you know, if nothing else, you're not better looking anyway. That helps us a lot.
Oh, wow. Where do you sell your milk?
Thank you,
Do
lady.
you sell it? I mean,
Gotta go to.
You
been out there yet?
No, I'm gonna try to go to the funeral.
About my time.
See you, buddy.
oh, well, yeah, a resident milk. I love milk. Sure.